The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Friends in Recovery podcast, the podcast that is here to help you, a loved one, or a friend get started down the road to recovery. This is the Friends in Recovery podcast, brought to you by the Genesis House. Genesis House, providing a safe, nurturing environment to heal from addiction since 1992. Please be a friend and share our message with a friend on Podbean, iTunes, iHeartRadio, or YouTube. And now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey everybody, welcome to Friends in Recovery Podcast.com. We're podcasting live from Studio 21 Podcast Cafe with producer extraordinaire Ed Sullivan, our barista Gary Marino,
What's
and
up, Gary?
My good friend Ed Chionchio.
What was that? Wow. Did you see that look?
Yeah.
Wow.
Jersey Ed.
I quit.
And I'm Mike Miles, the podfather. Hey, we have a guest today, Ed.
We do, but let's get to some business first.
Sounds good.
We got a great guest today too, and I'm excited about this show. So, first of all, we want to thank Genesis House, as you heard at the beginning. You know, without them, we can't do this. Thank God for Genesis House.
Thank goodness.
Also, to get a hold of us at Genesis House, genesishouse.net or 800-737-0933, just like they said in the beginning, the opening of the show. And Mike, do you have a phone number that you want to give out?
I do. My cell phone is 978-746-1717, and you can call anytime.
Yep.
24/7.
And then the show, you can get us. You can email me at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com, or you can go to our website, friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. Also, we're always looking for speakers, alumni speakers. We're looking for everyday speakers. If there's anybody out there that wants to get their information out to us, email us at either one of those at that help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. You can also email Skyler Noon, Skyler N at genesishouse.net, or Melissa H at genesishouse.net. And don't forget Facebook Live, that's going really well. YouTube, and when any of your podcast catchers, you can listen to us on, and make sure you subscribe. It's really important that they subscribe, right, Mike?
Absolutely.
So they can get our show every week at 4:00, just like they are today.
Correct.
I wouldn't miss it for anything.
You wouldn't, right?
No,
Well,
without
if
you,
I did, there wouldn't be a show.
Without you, there's no show, Ed.
That's right. You have to be here at 4:00 every
Right.
Tuesday. Well, thank you, Ed. It's great. So back to you in the newsroom, Mike.
Yes, back. So we have Skyler Noon. I understand she's a young lady that works at Genesis, and she does a lot for us. I know that.
Yes, she does, and she's part of our alumni series. And I don't know if anybody knows that, but Skyler is an alumni of Genesis House. Welcome, Skyler.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. Thank you for being on the show. First time I've ever met you.
Right.
Skyler. Do you want to tell about Skyler real quick? She's a very good friend of Friends in Recovery Podcast. She does a lot for us, and also she works at Genesis House. She is our Alumni Coordinator for Genesis House. She's been doing a really, really great job for us. Did a lot of stuff for the show for us, and made the show kind of. Her and Melissa really turned the show into what it is today. We really appreciate it, Skyler, and thank you for being with us and coming on the show almost last minute too.
My pleasure.
We noticed you have a certain shirt on there.
You
what
like
is
this,
that?
right?
Yeah. That's I think that's our podcast shirt.
Yes.
Right. And if you're watching, you can see the shirt. It says Friends in Recovery Podcast.
Yeah.
And on the back, I think it says Podfather.
Oh, you might want to turn around.
There she is.
There it is. Podfather.
That's right.
Yeah.
My design.
Right.
Okay. Thanks, Skyler. Thanks for wearing that shirt.
And she's our model too. So.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Skyler, there's a way that you got to be here, I'm guessing, and you didn't put an application in 10 years ago, I'm guessing. So do you want to tell us how you got here and why you're part of the alumni?
We applied to my insurance when I became a client.
Yes, you did. Good one.
Yeah, I'm an addict, and thanks for having me on here. My clean date is 9/2/08, so 2008, September 11th. 2008, I flew into Genesis. How it actually happened was toward the end of the road, it was, enough had been enough. I was in crisis twice in 1 week for wanting to die. And then I got Stacy's number somehow, which is Ed's wife. And I called her and she said, well, I could send you to Florida. But in the meantime, I was calling other places and I ended up going somewhere local. And within the first week, my insurance ran out. So then I called Stacy hysterical and I'm like, what do I do? And she's like, why did you go? Because it became an issue. So I had to become a cash pay. And Genesis worked with me. I mean, like, they weren't just after me for the money. They were working with my mom with scholarships and not scholarships, but working with me on prices. And they worked with my mom the entire way trying to help her. So, I owe like a lot to Genesis. And I believe the foundation of my recovery was definitely started and established at Genesis in 2008.
Absolutely. Just like all of us. I mean, we didn't go through Genesis House, but that rehab is definitely a foundation of our recovery. And Genesis House isn't for everybody. Thank God it was for you, because we got a wonderful employee out of you. But we have to find that right fit. And what was that right fit about Genesis House? What was it for you that said, okay, this is it? Because we said this is it a million times before. Why Genesis House and why this was it? And tell us a little bit of the story, maybe how you kind of brought you there.
You won't stop until you're ready. Like, to me, I laugh at that because, like, I was never ready. I never woke up and I'm like, you know what? I'm ready to stop using drugs today. And, like, I'm ready to not go to the bar anymore. It just never happened. It still doesn't happen. I wake up every day and I say to myself that I didn't use a drink or drug today, and I still think that's a big deal. There's a guy in my home group who always says that, and I think that's important to remind myself after 10 plus years in sobriety that it's still a big deal today that I didn't pick up, no matter what. So, what got, let's see, where were we at?
I'm sorry. Well, you did answer what got you to Genesis House, Stacy, obviously. But what was the road before that? What was your life like before, even going into that treatment center before? What was that life like before? Like, was it a great life? I mean, tell us what was going on there. Did you like the life you were living?
No, I definitely didn't. And I'm still in recovery to this day, and counting. So it's definitely a better life here. Prior to Genesis House, like I said, I was in crisis twice in 1 week. IOP didn't work for me. It's just my story, total disclaimer. But, I went to IOP and then I would go home and then I would use it. It was just like a cycle, and I did the different maintenance programs and weed maintenance, the Budweiser maintenance, or the guy from IOP that I'm going to marry him and that's going to cure me. Like, I did all those and none of it at work. And I get emotional when I say this, but when I would think about wanting to give up and die and then think, sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Keep going.
And think what my mom's face would look like when it happened. It's like I couldn't do it. Yeah. And as much as I had resentment and as much as I had anger, that face, like you can never get that out of your head. Because I love my mom. She's been there for me. She's my biggest cheerleader. She may tell you I treat her different, but she's really and my biggest fan, and I'm so grateful for her. So that's really where I got. It was just like I couldn't stop using, but I couldn't get clean either. So, I was just going to give up, throw it all away. But, even in recovery, if I thought about suicide, it's like, because I'm not working my program. I'm not being with my higher power. That still is what stops me. So for me, I call that like a snap moment or play the tape back. Mm-hmm. So that's my snap moment to say, Skyler, do something. Stop playing victim. Get out of this. Like when I see my mom's face.
Yeah.
So,
mom being the big supporter kind of got you through those things. She probably didn't really know it at the time. I guess she knows it now, but she probably didn't know it at the time that this is what you were thinking of. And this is some of the thoughts that go through our heads as addicts. We think of, it's funny you say that because I would always see my kids in my mind saying, this will be the last drink. This will be the last, fucking 8-ball of cocaine. This is it. I swear to God. And, there's no, we're on government cheese and fucking and WIC. And I'm handing over to a drug dealer, buying 8-balls like I was fucking Rockefeller, And so I always seen my kids in
yeah,
you got me now. I always see my kids in my mind too, and It's hard. It's hard, but I'm so happy that recovery is part of my life now, just like you. And it's crazy, but it's a wonderful place to be. So
it's really
And
nice.
that's what keeps
Go ahead, Sly. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
is moments like that where we can relate to each other on such a deep level. We don't just have the same favorite color or same favorite song. We have the same identification of like that pain and what it was like using, and then the joy of recovery. So that's like a really cool identification with each other. And like Mike, we've never met each other, face to face, but we know our stories, right? Like we know that pain.
Absolutely.
So,
The attitude of gratitude. I'm listening to both of you, and I'm also, we're all recovering here. And whether you have one day or you have a decade, it doesn't matter. It's a day at a time. But the emotional part, as a clinical clinician, I hear the emotions a lot, and I can get emotional very, very easily because I know what I have endured, and I've seen it. I've seen my children. My son's 33 years old, and I got sober when he was a baby. I mean, he was an infant. He was 9 months old, and I really believe that his birth and him being, there when I was going through what I was going through, really, I give him a lot of credit. He doesn't even remember it, but it's really nice hearing you and your heartfelt description of how you feel about your mom. And you have a very famous day to be sober, 9/11.
Yeah.
It's talk about that a little bit.
We're laughing too is that I was supposed to come down on 9/2. Well, 9/2 is when I went to the rehab up here, and I was supposed to fly down the 10th, but I missed my flight buying a sweatshirt to go to Florida.
Was that on purpose?
You diva.
Sounds like me.
9/11.
So when you went down to Genesis House, was it instant that you got this feeling, or who was your therapist? Rob was your therapist. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I believe that like each therapist played an increment for sure. Because the therapist I had right before I went to Genesis, I still see to this day.
Okay.
So I'm back connected with him up here. So we all have increments of like therapists that get to us. But Rob, so what I noticed about Genesis, it was small. The rehab I came to from up here had like 150 clients, and like I did not feel comfortable sharing. Like I have anxiety. I may act like all tough and funny, but I'm really insecure sometimes and anxious inside that. 150 clients when I have a day clean, I'm like, how am I going to share anything in front of these people or cry? I'm crying on a podcast now, but back then I didn't really cry. But I mean, like when I got to Genesis, I think there was like 30, 35 clients there. And I was like, okay, I can kind of do this. And then, like I have my first group with Rob, and I'll never forget, he's like, tell us about yourself. I'm like, Skyler Noon, like I'm kind of like badass. And like I did this. Even all these qualifiers, totally like skipping the emotional part right here that we're doing now. And he was like, all right, you want to put your shoulders down? And he just ripped me.
Good old Rob.
Like,
Rob is excellent down there. He really is. You had a good therapist.
Hey, we'll be back. We have a break coming up here, and it's want to hear more about Genesis House and the therapist and the alumnus that come from Genesis House and the workers. That's an incredible place, and we're very fortunate to have it. We'll be right back.
Thanks, Skyler.
Genesis House is a premier substance abuse and rehabilitation facility located in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. We have been providing the highest quality of addiction treatment since 1992 and are accredited by the Joint Commission. We offer a range of programs that include detox, residential treatment, dual diagnosis, a Christian track for people who want to incorporate their faith into treatment, a uniform services track, and we work with most major insurance carriers. Genesis House is led by a dedicated team of administrative and clinical professionals, and we stand on our commitment to excellence in recovery services. Contact us today to find out more about our program. Take the first step and call Genesis House at 800-737-0933 or visit us on the web at www.genesishouse.net. That's 800-737-0933 or www.genesishouse.net. Begin your journey to a long and successful recovery with Genesis House.
Hey, it's friendsrecoverypodcast.com. I'm Mike Miles, also known as the Podfather. I'm here with Jersey Ed and sweatshirt.
Skyler.
Skyler, welcome back.
Welcome back, Skyler.
You're really making this show a real genuine, what a pleasure. What a pleasure. No, this is great.
It is.
Ed's got a few questions for you.
Well, Skyler, I'm so glad you were able to come through us and really kick off your recovery and have it keep strong 10 plus years later. Tell us where you're at now and kind of what you're doing for Genesis House, and maybe tell us what you did with the recovering community too, as far as friends in recovery community. You want to explain that a little bit too, because we have a lot of alumni listening, so we can get that out to them.
Yeah. So, I was blessed. I was a tech at Genesis from 2010 to 11. So I got to know the therapists real well and work with them. And then now in 2000, I guess it was 16 or 17, I came back as alumni working remotely from Jersey. So I follow the alumni. I see how they're doing. I do the social media. I have alumni events. We send out like newsletters and stuff. We do different things to get the alumni involved. Like we have, like Pen Friend, where they can send letters into clients that right now aren't getting really mail. They could use that extra support. Mm-hmm. Or we have Unity Contact. So when clients leave the gate, they have an alumni that has like signed permission for us to give out their phone number. So they're leaving the gate with a phone number to call to reach out to another alumni in case, they're struggling. Mm-hmm. And then we have the Friends in Recovery events, community events. So we have one up in Jersey and one in Florida. So that's open to alumni and anyone else. Anyone's welcome. It's a community of support. So, it's a way for our alumni to give back to the community and a way for the community to be involved with us as well.
Now, I like what you did with the Friends in Recovery. I know Mike, when me and Mike started this, Mike kind of came up with the name Friends in Recovery. I thought it was a great name. You took it a step further. Tell us how you did that and incorporated it into Genesis House and our alumni. Kind of go through that a little bit.
Yeah, so me and Melissa were working on it, and we're trying to think of like a name for the event. And Genesis House alumni is great, but I mean, we wanted it bigger than that. We want to help more than just Genesis alumni. I mean, what about the moms of the clients? What about the moms that just know alumni and need support? Like, where do they go? Mm-hmm. And we didn't want it to just be secluded to one population. We want everyone to welcome. Like, I think Genesis' biggest thing is not only is it small and it's like the boutique of rehabs, but they also really care about their clients. Yeah. I mean, even after, that's my job is to keep following up and care.
Yeah. So normal alumni meetings, I know you did some alumni in the past for other treatment centers, but normal alumni meetings is the alumni people, the alumni guys and girls coming in, having a meeting. You took it a step further and you said, let's open it up to the families. Let's have them bring their friends in, their loved ones. Is that something different that we're doing at our meetings?
Yes, because the other rehab I worked at, the alumni would come in with the current clients. So only alumni were allowed in because like us HIPAA and stuff, and family wasn't allowed. So we've opened it up to, more avenues to go down. And we've had family members come, and we've had one family member come to the Florida and share like heartfelt, like how they, were going through it as a family member. And the recovering addicts in the room, like, really enjoyed hearing that, you know what I mean? To hear the other side. And then the family really enjoys hearing the other side of like being the one in recovery.
Yeah.
So, and even like, there was a girl that needed support and she came out to the Jersey one, she reached out and I said, why don't you come to this event? And she came and, she's been reaching out again. So
good.
It goes, even professionals came. I had, a girl with like, I think 15 years that came to the Jersey one that's in the field. And, so she was interested in it just for her clients and everything too. So
good. So we got Florida and Jersey, and you want to tell us when they're available, when you have them and where?
So the Jersey one is always the Jersey one's always the third Friday of the month in Voorhees, New Jersey, which is kind of near Cherry Hill. It is, I don't have the event address in front of me. I know it's Somerdale Road, like across from the old Echelon Mall. It's a Voorhees Town Center now.
Okay.
So we have that at 7:00 on the third Friday of each month. And then the Florida one's always the last Saturday of each month. And that's in Palm Springs at 6:30.
Okay. And how can they get a hold of you if they want to be involved in this?
So they can either reach out to my cell phone number or my email. And then that's do you want me to say it?
Or you can say it.
Okay. It's 856-397-7647. And then my name is Skyler, SKYLER, N at genesishouse.com. recoveryalumni.net.
And that's the way they can get a hold of you to join. And we encourage all the alumni to listen, to join, and to get involved, because this is part of recovery. This is what, this is another just step of recovery that we're all new at this. Or even like Skyler said, there's somebody over 15 years. 15 years. I got 25. I still go to beginners meetings. It's still part of it. And I attended the first New Jersey meeting with you, and I got to meet your lovely mom. And it was a great meeting. It wasn't big, but it was the beginning, and they're growing like crazy, leaps and bounds. And here's the $10 million question. What's going on in Massachusetts now? Are we going to do something up in Massachusetts for Friends in Recovery community?
Yeah, I have an alumni I reached out to recently, working on like opening a clubhouse. We were, talking about that. He's still working on that, and then we're still kind of figuring out where we're going to have it, but Virginia, Mass, and Wisconsin. Yes, we're working on all three of those as we speak.
Good. Right, and Bob Cox, he won't mind me breaking his anonymity. He's an alumnus, and he's a good friend of mine. Actually, he's texting me as we're speaking, and he's working diligently on opening a clubhouse, and I'm kind of in partnership with him. So we're going to have something up and running very soon. But his gratitude is through the roof as a result of attending Genesis House and coming back and just hitting the ground running and just helping anyone he can. And, you guys have quite a family down there. The therapists, the counselors, the owner, yourself, Skyler. You've been such a godsend, and it's just a real pleasure to meet you, first of all. But honestly, when you talk heartfelt, I think it touches a lot of people, not just the two of us, but anybody listening to the show.
Absolutely, yeah, moms,
you're so
dads,
genuine.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And Scott, that's one thing about Skyler, is that her passion for recovery it's amazing. And the minute she was available to come work for us, I told Taylor, I said, you got to get a hold of Skyler. I said she would be great for our alumni, and she did. We had no alumni program, and she put it together from the ground up.
Awesome.
And it's an amazing program that we have together now. It's always growing, of course. It's growing by leaps and bounds, and and I think Melissa helps you out a lot too. We're going to get her on the show too next time to talk about alumni. Maybe both of you guys can be on the show and really talk up the alumni for us. So,
you're going to catch a plane, I guess, Ed?
I'm gonna, yes, soon. Yep, absolutely. But Skyler, you want to sum up anything? The whole alumni, your feelings about Genesis House, your recovery. Just give us a quick couple minutes on that, and we can end that way.
So Bob Cox is great. I don't think we've ever had a conversation without crying, because all the miracles and gratitude he has.
Mm-hmm.
Give a shout out to him real quick. But no, Genesis House. Not only was it small and quaint, it was real small, and I had time with my therapist. I had one individual a week and one family session. Since my mom was in Jersey, we did conference calls once a week so we could do family sessions. That was huge to my mom. And then on top of that, when I worked there, and even now, some of the therapists when I went to treatment are still there, and that says a lot, because I've worked at other rehabs, and the turnover rate can be pretty high. So that says a lot about our higher ups, our bosses and stuff.
Yep,
that they obviously are holding something good together, and we're doing something right there, because that that speaks volumes to me.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
But
and
I think Genesis.
Go ahead. And again, give out the alumni dates and times again where they're at, so we can end the show that way.
No, not tomorrow. I'm sorry. So it's the third Friday of every month in Voorhees, New Jersey, and then the last Saturday of every month in Palm Springs, Florida.
Perfect.
So and then have a good questions, just reach out to me, and we'll get everything settled.
Good. And don't forget everybody who's listening, that all the show notes have Skyler's information in it. It always had it in it also, but it'll be in there twice now, I'm guessing. Maybe not. Depends on Ed's level of.
Reach out to me.
Yeah.
I'd love to have people. That's really, you're right. I have a passion for it, and if someone needs help, I'll get any links.
Perfect. Sure. Good. Well, Skyler, thank you for coming on the show. I know it was last minute, and that's what we do in recovery. We step up to the challenge, and it helps us in our recovery. And you did what you were asked to do. Thank you, Skyler.
Thank you.
Thanks, Skyler.
Thank you.
Very nice meeting you.
Bye, Mike. You too.
Bye.
Take care, everybody. Stay sober.
The The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.